You're listening to the ESC Conor Podcast, bringing you reaction and analysis on the Eurovision Song Contest 2021. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube for more Eurovision content. Here we go.
Hello everyone and welcome to the very first episode of the ESC Conor Podcast, bringing you an alternative look at the Eurovision Song Contest 2021 rehearsals. And today, for the very first episode, I'm delighted to be joined by the amazing Louise from Eurovision Hub. Welcome to the podcast, Louise.
Hi Conor, thank you so much for having me.
No worries at all. How are you doing? How are you finding rehearsals so far?
Good. Well, it's a real honour to be on your first episode and congrats on the podcast. It's very exciting times for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's about time. Rehearsals I'm finding good, tiring, but you know, in a good way.
Yeah.
It's something we love to do. This is my favourite time of the year. I absolutely love rehearsal season because everything can change. It's extremely exciting and you really get an idea of the concepts and the visions that the artists and countries have. And also within the rehearsals, like so much can change between the first rehearsal and of course the final shows, but I'm sure we'll get into more of that later.
It's time for the ESC Conor Podcast debriefing.
So instead of going through all of the countries from the first rehearsals, I think it's probably easiest to do a top three, a bottom three, and an honourable mention. Because we'll be here like literally all night discussing each song. But if you want to kick things off with your honourable mention from the first rehearsals from semi-final one.
Honourable mention, okay. I think I want to say this country entry because it's not in my top three of the rehearsals. I would really love for it to be, but it's currently not. But I do think we should talk about it, and that's Ireland.
Exactly the same honourable mention as you.
I had a feeling. So like, just to make it clear, obviously, to anybody who is listening to the podcast who maybe doesn't know us as well, Conor and I think it's fair to say, have a personal investment.
Definitely. In
the song and in Leslie, and we're big supporters of Leslie, and a lot of our friends are too, and a lot of other Irish fans.
Shout out to the cousins.
Shout out to the cousins, indeed. And yeah, we're really rooting for her. We really backing her all the way, and we love her to bits. In terms of, so first of all, Ireland was our 30 minutes, our half an hour that we got was very unique because across all the countries you didn't get to see the first take to give the artists a chance, which is completely fair enough. The second take, you usually are able to see about 10 minutes, 15 minutes perhaps into the time slot. However, the 30 minutes were almost up and we had not seen a run through.
Yeah.
So one run through had been done and the press had still seen nothing. And finally, at 30 minutes past, we then saw the second run through. So Leslie's staging, Ireland's staging, is tangible. You can touch it. She's in frames. There's lots of trees. You're kind of invited into Leslie's world. It's extremely intricate staging. It's extremely complex.
Probably the most complex of the year, I would say. Out of so far, anyway, definitely.
Absolutely. And there's a clear reason why she got that running order spot.
Yeah. She's
more than likely before or after a break. You need time to set up / take away all of the different things that are there, all of the different elements. It's very, very complicated. This staging requires quite a lot of people power. You know, first off, for Leslie, for herself, it's just her on the stage. She's two backing vocalists who are off the stage. So ultimately, in terms of performer and what she's doing, she has to focus on hitting her spots, looking at the right camera, looking in the right place, also focusing on her vocals. She has a lot to think about. She's also on a treadmill at some points, we should add.
Two treadmills.
Yeah.
That's like she used to jump from one to the other. So
yeah, it's no joke. And it's kind of hidden within the staging. You don't actually fully realize that she is on treadmills, running / walking. And then you're also relying on the crew members who are moving all of the various pieces and all of the props that she needs. They need to be on their mark at all times. They need to be in the right place. So do the cameras and the camera people working the cameras. There is an awful lot happening. And ultimately, I don't feel like we got a fair look how it will probably ultimately turn out, or a
Definitely.
fair listen either. I think
Yeah.
that would be fair to say. There was just a lot going on. We only got one look and then it was gone. And we didn't get to see a third run through. Unfortunately, the time wasn't there. There's a lot of notes that have been sent off to the production team. There's work. There's time to go still.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, like, overall looking at it, I'm just so happy we're sending something different.
And something to be proud of.
Lose, non-qualify, whatever. Like, we're sending something risky, and you need to do that in this semi-final.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no point in playing it safe in the semi-final. I don't know.
True.
Do you agree, Connor?
Yeah, well, look, I echo everything that you've said, and I completely agree with it. And Ireland's also my mention of the podcast. As you said, we obviously have a close link, so it is hard to be critical of it. But I think realistically, you have to be critical of it because it is competition at the end of the day. I'm sure Leslie, obviously, she has notes herself and agrees a lot with what we've been saying. But yeah, no, and look, like you said, it is 30-minute slot for that staging. It has to be, like, so many things have to be set up correctly. So, of course, it's not going to go smoothly for the first rehearsal. So, and I don't think, me personally anyway, I've known for 3 weeks of the staging. So I think realistically, I've had time to prep myself in terms of knowing that nothing's going to be perfect from day one. And I'm sure yourself, you knew that the minute you saw it, you were like, has to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, so to say. But yeah, look, I think there's time to work on it. I think also it's the first time any artist has been on the stage for 2 years because of the pandemic. So it's not just so much learning to be working with cameras and working with lights and making sure you're on your marker at certain points. It's also getting used to a stage again, which is mentally very, very challenging as it is at normal circumstances. But after 2 years of not being near one, it's going to be difficult. So I have full faith in Leslie. She's obviously put in a lot of work into this for the last number of months, literally every single day rehearsing. So look, these are things that are fixable. I'd be more worried if I was sitting here and thinking, God, we're in
the
trouble.
Song is great.
Exactly.
If you were going into it with a terrible song, I mean, you can only shine something so much.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's like the package is great. It needs a bit of tidying up. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking on the Hub live stream earlier, and I had a good chat with Alicia Michelle about it, and she was making the point, and I was so glad she said it because I couldn't place the country in my head. But I remember yesterday when we didn't get our third run through, and I said, look, that's okay. It's happened before. I've seen it happen before. And I couldn't remember exactly what country it was. And when Alicia brought it up today, it was Estonia 2019, Storm. Yeah. And I remember watching another site's rehearsal coverage at the time. They were saying, look, Estonia's they're not getting their third run through. There's too much going wrong. There's too much going on the stage. They need more time to rehearse. I actually believe they may have been granted extra time to rehearse in maybe their second rehearsal or something, because it was just so intricate. And it was funny actually, because that had come from a national final. So it had actually worked in the Estonian national final. And then for some reason, when they got to Tel Aviv, it just, I don't know, was it the crew or did they slightly change their technology or what exactly happened? But they actually never got a 100% perfect, because in the final, I remember there was a cameraman in shot for like a second. Like they just never, they got it. Like he qualified. So it wasn't like not fixed enough. It did get fixed to a point because he qualified, but they only actually got it to 90% of, I think, where Estonia wanted it, which was kind of a shame. But look, it was fine. He studied well. He got into the final. Like he's Victor Crone. He's very loved. But I can foresee now for Ireland, this is a year where we're going to need that bit of extra special attention and special help just to get this staging done. And fair props to the Dutch. I think they're doing amazing hosting so far. So I know that the Dutch team and the Eurovision team in general are going to do their absolute best for everybody.
And I'll just add as well, like, Leslie, staging's never been done before on top of everything that's been said. So I think it is deserving of extra time because it is so technically challenging. So look, hopefully things go well on Wednesday for a second rehearsal and then take it from there. That's all we can hope for. But like I said, it's a fantastic song. And I just saw that you had posted just a few minutes before that it's back into the top 10 of the Irish homegrown charts. So that's very promising in itself. So moving on, we'll go into our top threes. Now, this is not a third, second, or first. We will discuss them just in general. 3 songs that have stood out most over the last 2 days. So Louise, which is your first top 3 country?
Would you like me to run through them all together or one by one?
One by one.
One by one. Okay. Oh, it's really tricky to pick 3. It's a very stacked semi-final. I've seen some very good things going on the last few days. I'm going to start with the one that I probably have the least amount to say. I don't have a huge amount to say about it or to add to it. And I think a lot of people would probably have enjoyed this rehearsal, and that was Lithuania, which opened the semi-final. Lithuania is also in my personal top 3 songs of the year. I really, really love Discotheque, and I love the group. I love their energy. I think they're great. So I just think it's a really strong semi-final opener. It's very clean. They're so professional. I mean, I didn't actually see the full rehearsal myself. I saw the clips and was getting feedback from the other Eurovision Hub members. And it just appears that it was basically a ready to go performance. It didn't really feel like a rehearsal.
Yeah.
Now, opening a semi-final is always tough because so much comes after you that even if you're amazing, you can be somewhat forgotten or overshadowed. But I think Lithuania has a strong enough entry, has a strong enough televote, is going to be liked enough that I would be absolutely shocked if this didn't sail into the final. I think it's a surefire qualifier as far as they go in this semi-final. That's a pure bloodbath. I just love their energy. I love the colour. I love the brightness. I think given the year that we've had less discotheque right at my home, it's okay to dance alone. I think it's really apt. I think it's got a really good beat. I cannot wait to be on a Eurovision night out when this comes on, and I'm going to absolutely run across the dance floor like a mad thing and really enjoy this one. So that would be the first of my top 3.
Amazing. Yeah, Lithuania doesn't make my top 3, but they are 5th in my ranking that I've done anyway. It's like you said, it's a ready-made performance from the national final. They've taken obviously a lot of elements from it with the yellow suits and the dance. It's not one of my favorite songs of the year, and I do prefer their 2020 entry. It just doesn't do it for me as it does for others. But look, it's a certain qualifier. I'd be shocked to see this not qualify, and I don't think it's anywhere near that. Televoters will love it, and I do think juries will appreciate it. So definitely something to look forward to for Wednesday to see it all over again. But yeah, so my first top 3 country is probably Croatia. I was very impressed with Croatia today. Not a song that was high up on my list on my rankings of all 39 songs, but I just thought it looked nearly like an MTV VMA performance from the snippet anyway. I didn't see the full performance, but it looked polished. She sounded good from the clip anyway. And I loved the colours. I loved the way they were using the kind of the transparent LED screen that comes down from the ceiling. Yeah, I was really impressed, and I can't wait to see it fully on Wednesday with the camera angles. But yeah, I thought very impressed with Tick-Tock anyway.
Very good. I'm looking forward to seeing that full rehearsal in spring.
Yeah, definitely.
I should add, Cyprus and Norway, I wouldn't have much of an input on. They just happen to be 2 semis that 2 rehearsals. Sorry. Cyprus and Norway happen to be 2 rehearsals that I didn't really get to see or hear much about today.
Yeah, and I'll add as well, I haven't seen a lot of the songs in full because I've been working, so I am basing a lot of the songs off 30 seconds as well. So that's for context. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is your second top 3 country that you are going to choose?
Every Russian woman needs to know. You're strong enough, you're gonna break the wall.
I was surprised. I was surprised if this wasn't in your top 3 anyway.
She's on wheels, Connor. She's on wheels.
In a moving dress.
And we don't know how. I mean, is she wearing Heelys? Remember them?
Yeah.
You'd fly around Dundrum Shopping Centre on the L Heelys.
Breaking
is she on a Segway? Is she on a hoverboard? Nobody
Who
knows?
knows?
Because it's the magic and the power of Manisha. Like, wow. The power of that. I mean, that song in itself is so powerful. The lyrics, the context behind it, the audience she wants to reach with it, the people she's representing, the voice in that song, it's so strong. And there's just so many added elements that make it even better. I mean, I really liked the national final staging, but when you look now at this fully formed Eurovision staging, it's just perfect. They've taken what they did and just sprinkled a feck load of glitter on it. Sorry, I shouldn't swear.
You can swear, don't worry.
I'm excited. So they've taken what they did and they've just put a load of glitter on it and they've made it like even more magical and amazing. They've waved a magic wand and she's singing to the backing vocalist, which she was doing in the initial national final performance. But she's really earnestly singing this message of you're strong enough, believe in yourself, you're independent. And then the Russian woman on the LED behind her, she's singing it to her and it's amazing. And I really hope this isn't my bias coming into play, but I've seen an overall extremely good reception from the press and fans alike online. I also think this could be a pretty surefire qualifier. I think it would be an absolute travesty if this is left behind in the semi-final, and I will make that loudly known on my socials if that were to be the case. I don't think it's going to be the case. I think it's going to go through one way or another. Juries on televote are going to respect this. And it's just such a breath of fresh air for Russia to send something like this. I think I said something like this on Twitter recently, that there's been so many years where Russia sends things that feel a bit formulaic and like they really want to win and they just don't gel with me. And then it's like the one year where Little Big decide they're not going kind of last minute and they sort of throw together a national final. And apparently this song was written like a couple of days before the national final and all of this. I am obsessed with it. And I think in their broadcasters' minds, it was like, oh, we have a song, we have an entry, here it is. And it's amazing. And if Russia won with this, I mean, that'd be amazing. And Netta has given it the seal of approval, a previous Eurovision winner. So
yeah, that's seal of approval. So
thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, look, I wasn't the biggest fan of Russian Woman initially, but I think for a lot of people as well, it's grown as the season has progressed, and the more you listen to it, the more you're like, wow. I do not like the studio version at all. So live is where, for me, it grabs me. I love the fact that they kept the 4 backing singers, that aspect of the performance, because I thought that really, really amplified it even more, because like you said, she's pointing to them, she's saying, you're strong enough, and then she nearly points to the audience, and then the Russian women on the back of the LED. And I love the concept of the big dress coming out at the start, and she's like, I won't sing it, but like, pull it. Like, it's so interesting. You're kind of like, what the hell is going on here? The only thing I would say is I don't like the fact the dress stays on the stage. I prefer for that to go, so you kind of have that intimate effect of the 4 backing singers, and then she goes to the LED screen with the faces. So that's the only critique I would say about that, but it is definitely a performance to remember. And yeah, I think this is, I'd be very surprised to see this non-qualify. I really, really would.
Has there ever been an entry like this in Eurovision?
No, definitely
really
not.
like this. There hasn't. No. And the thought behind it, like the dress, the fact that it's representing all kinds of Russian women.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so good. It's so authentic. And viewers can tell when something's authentic, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I can't see a world where this doesn't make the final. Like if Russia 2018 nearly qualified, surely this is certain to be going through to the final, even though the semi-final is such a bloodbath. I just can't not see this qualifying. I really can't.
100%.
But it isn't in my top 3.
We're not agreeing so far. Okay.
No, yeah. I think Cyprus has to get into my top 3 just about. I was really impressed with the song. It was a song that you've heard before on the radio, if you get what I mean. It is a song that is quite familiar to the ears, especially the music video, but we won't get into that. It is I wouldn't call it a generic song, but it is one of the songs that kind of you hear, oh yeah, good song. But yeah, I think the staging was really, really good. I loved the kind of mirror effect of having the dancers and kind of mirrored off the mirror to say. But it's just really interesting, and the whole El Diablo devil effect, it didn't come across cheesy. It came across in kind of a sophisticated way. So yeah, I was really, really impressed with Cyprus. So yeah, that they get into my top 3 anyway.
That's great. I unfortunately missed that rehearsal and a lot of the reaction to it. I asked Ryan a little bit about it afterwards, and I heard a lot of similar things to what you said, that they captured the theme, the El Diablo, the devil, quite well without it being tacky or cheap, and not looking like they went off to a costume shop and got like devil horns or anything like that. Like I got good reviews in that sense, that the theme was depicted very well and very tastefully on the stage. I have to say the song isn't really up there for me, but I really like her, and I'm very impressed with her vocals as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I was expecting such a strong vocal from her. And I also have to give props to Cyprus, because I quite often enjoy their entries, like La La Love, iconic song. Love Fuego, of course. Like Replay was really good. While this isn't as much up my street, I'm glad that it's kind of on brand Cyprus, but at the same time, it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's kind of a copy of anything else they've sent. Yeah. And it's definitely a lovely Cypriot twist on a good pop song. And yeah, I think it's something they can be proud of. And again, I don't imagine this not qualifying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
it would have to go horribly wrong, but yeah, especially like they're kind of before coming after Ireland and before Norway. It is quite a different song compared to those two songs. So I would be shocked to see this not qualified, to be honest. Definitely. I think it can be considered a certain qualifier.
Absolutely.
But yeah, which is your next top 3 country?
Well, today I was sitting on the Eurovision Hub live stream, minding my own business and watching through all the rehearsals, and I wasn't too thrilled / impressed with some of the countries. And this little country was coming up, and I had kind of written the song off in my top. It was like somewhere in the middle of my ranking. And I was like, yeah, it's not really a song. It's not really for me. Preferred their entry last year, whatever. I had kind of been sleeping on them. And then Goa came on the stage for Ukraine. And I think I'm still picking up my jaw from this afternoon, because, oh my God, that performance is amazing. Like, stunning. It was the first time I got goosebumps in any of these rehearsals.
Wow.
To be honest, it kind of gave me winner vibes.
Really?
And I don't,
okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. And like, I feel like that's not an over dramatic thing for me to say, because I didn't really rate the song before. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, I'd vote for this. I can imagine people voting for this. This is so good. It looks so expensive, yet so artistic, yet not pretentious. It's like they ticked all of the boxes. Normally, I would critique people for being static and not using the stage and not moving across it. However, in this scenario, they have a platform in the middle of the stage that they don't really leave. But I love that. It's like we're invited into Goa's world. The visual effects were amazing. It was like every twist and turn in the performance, something else would come and wow you, you know? As in the beginning, it was her costume. And then it was the trees. And then it was the band with the instruments. And then it was the platform. And then it was boxes on the LED. And it just kept coming and kept coming. And I couldn't take my eyes off it. And on the live stream, I was with Miko and Sandra. We were all absolutely blown away. And as soon as it was finished, I said, I want to watch that again. Put it on again. I want to watch it now. That was so good. It was like a feast on the eyes. Aesthetically, so good. She sounded perfect. It sounded like the studio. And I'm amazed. I mean, that has to get top 10 in the final, in my opinion. Like, it has to. I would be very, very surprised if this scrapes through or anything like that. And I just really hope that it gets, I think it'll be definitely fine in this semi-final. Like, there's Eastern European countries I think will definitely back it. Sandra was mentioning on Eurovision Hub that, you know, we were speaking a bit about, like, she's from North Macedonia but lives in Germany.
Yeah.
And a lot of that Central Eastern European countries, particularly Germany, love their electronic music, would definitely throw some points. She said Balkan countries would too. So you've got Croatia in there, you've got Slovenia, you've got North Macedonia, who are going to throw them some points. I just hope the Western countries don't sleep on it a bit. Like, I don't know if I see an Irish jury maybe going for this.
No,
like, I see an Irish jury going for El Diablo or something.
Yeah.
A pop song over Ukraine, but it was just mwah, chef's kiss. So good.
I am in agreement with you on this. It is my number one. I'm going to say it is my number one from semi-final one rehearsal so far. I was so impressed. I'm not a huge fan of the song at all, but this has blown me up. Oh God!
Goodbye.
Yeah, go away. Blew me.
Go away. Made him gone.
God. Right. So I don't even know where to pick up. Like,
you
Jesus
keep
Christ.
This in the podcast. Keep that in.
Oh, are you sure? Okay.
That's funny as well.
Okay. Yes, Go Away are my number one from the whole semi-final. They are my next top three, but they are my number one. Yeah, I was super impressed from this. I didn't even see the full performance, but just that snippet sealed it for me. The green, the kind of feathery green that she has on is deadly. I love the kind of the trees in the background, and just the contrast from the white to the green works really, really well. And they're wearing, are they like circular tambourines or something like that going on as well? But it just looks like a party, and it looks like something that is more accessible than just listening to the studio version. And it's the second last song in the semi-final, and you're definitely going to remember that. Surely you have to remember that. Yeah, it was a borderline qualifier for me, but I think this has definitely pushed it over the line. And speaking of line, it actually does remind me a lot of Latvia 2017, but done right. If you get what I mean, that kind of what's the word? Like electronic music, pumping. But she actually can sing really, really well as well. No shade to Latvia 2017, but it just seems a lot more accessible than 2017 for Latvia. But yeah, I'd be very surprised not to see this qualify. And I thought beforehand, before rehearsal started, it was a song that was either going to wow people or people would be, no, not for me. And I think this has definitely put it into the top 10 for Eurovision 2021. Definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
The ESC Conor Podcast.
We've talked about the positives, so that's not so much the negatives, but for countries that maybe need that kind of extra push for second rehearsals and going on. Who's your first bottom three out of the first rehearsals?
I'm really struggling with this. I have two I definitely would say need more work than others. Finding a third. I mean, I'm between saying Slovenia and North Macedonia, but not because I actually think their stage presentations were quite good.
Yeah.
I'm actually just struggling to find a third for my bottom three. I was quite pleasantly surprised by North Macedonia and what they had to offer. So I'd probably go with Slovenia in this case. Nothing really wrong with Slovenia. Just really, the song's not as much to my taste. And I think, in terms of, I don't think there's a huge amount to improve on it. It's just kind of there. It's just kind of there for me. Yeah. And it didn't exactly wow me, even though her voice is amazing and everything. But yeah, it's just, it kind of just by default falls into that spot because I just have liked so many rehearsals.
Yeah.
So yeah, Slovenia is the first, I'd say, my bottom three.
Yeah, my first, I completely agree with you actually on Slovenia. I think it is just one of those countries that the song is okay and the staging is really, really good, but like what else really is there to to do with it. But it isn't in my bottom three. I think my first country has to be Romania. Unfortunately, I wasn't a huge fan of the song going into it, so I'm not like very attached to it. But I just think it is very similar to the music video in terms of the kind of she's fighting with the dancers and just kind of there's this battle going on. But I just didn't feel anything towards it. I did hear that she was incredibly nervous, and of course that's going to happen with such a young artist on a stage. So my props to her. Like I could never do anything like this. So definitely it's first rehearsals. What are you going to expect? But I just wasn't wowed by it. I thought a lot of people love this song as well, and I just thought that maybe going into rehearsals it was one of those songs where I would wake up nearly to it and think, wow, this is brilliant, but just for me didn't do anything for me. So unfortunately it's one of those songs that are in my bottom three.
Yeah, I also have Romania. That would be my next, and I feel kind of sorry for saying that. I in an ideal world I wouldn't want to have anybody at the bottom, but I guess it's what we're doing, and you have to look at the rehearsals as they are, and very important to remember, as you said, that they're first rehearsals. But yeah, I spent the whole time during Romania's rehearsal, like, again, similar to Slovenia, it's just not really a song for me or a song that I've ever loved. But I found myself during the whole rehearsal just wanting to give Roxanne a hug. She just looked so uncomfortable. So she just hasn't found her groove on the stage yet, I suppose. There's a lot that's going right. Like, if I were on the Romanian delegation, or if I were speaking to them, I would say, look, you've got things in your favor. Like, your visuals are looking good. The choreo's looking good. Your concept is really good. Like, I think the whole idea of the dancers being the demons and chasing her, I think it's really clever. It's really artistic. It's really well done. But there's just a couple of elements that need tidying up, I suppose. I mean, firstly, I don't know what exactly is going on with her. Like, she could be really tired after traveling. Maybe she's feeling the pressure. She's a young performer. Maybe this is the biggest stage she's ever been on. And she just needs to believe in herself a little bit and, you know, just really believe in her vocals and the talent that she has, and just really build herself up in that sense. I definitely think that styling could be tidied up too. I wasn't a fan of styling.
Quite dark.
Look, yeah, I didn't really like the dancers' outfits. They had kind of these white hoodie jumpsuit things, these like black handprints on them. It didn't. I don't think they needed something like that. I think a dark block color would have been absolutely perfect in that scenario. And also her own outfit, there was a bit of discussion on Hub. Miko was saying, well, that's not her outfit, is it? And Sandra was saying, no, I think that's the exact same outfit as the music video, so I think it is. But the color, it was funny because she had the purple, her lovely purple hair, and then she had a dark green hoodie with the fluff on it, and kind of cargo pants and big boots. And I just wonder what a viewer would think.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that the look they're going for? That she's a normal person going through like her demons, you know, her struggles.
Yeah. God, I didn't realize that was there. Well,
there was a bit of confusion on our end about that too, I guess.
Well, I would worry if it was, because I seriously thought it was just a pair of trackies that she was wearing because it was the first rehearsal. So that would worry me then if it were to be her outfit. But
that's really easily fixed. Like,
exactly.
You can literally just have a stylist come in and be like, nope, doesn't work, wear this, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's fine. So there's a lot they can do. It's very, like, this can still be a very strong package if they just tweak a couple of things. That's what first rehearsals are for, you know?
Yeah. So my second country in my bottom three, I'm absolutely devastated to put in my bottom three. And it's not a bottom three of such that it's more so disappointments than bottom three, but it's Belgium for me. I was really yeah, I loved this song. It was in my top three going into the contest or going into the rehearsals, and I really like it. And I thought it was going to be I expected much more, I think, and I just thought it was. I went away from watching it just very underwhelmed. I just thought it was. I loved the first kind of 30 seconds of it kind of being this kind of moody lighting just on the main singer. I can't pronounce the name, so I won't say it, but just on the main singer, and then the kind of circling of her and the rest of the band. And then it just kind of was, oh, we're doing this again. Okay, we're going to do this again. And then you had her face on the LED screen behind you, like popping up every so often. And it just kind of was like, is this the best thing you can do? Like, I thought, I just expected a lot more from it. And then there was one moment towards the end where the camera zooms out and you have her face then on the transparent LED screen that comes down from the screen. And that felt too long. The second run through now, or the third run through, well, the second one we saw, but the third one for them, that was a lot better, but it still felt as if it was a bit kind of alien to the performance. Of you had this intimate setting of going around in circles and being close-up shots of her, and then we go wide just to see her face on the screen. It just didn't correlate well. But yeah, I just felt so underwhelmed, and I expected much more from it. And yeah, it has to go in my bottom three, unfortunately, for that.
Okay. Fair enough. I love Belgium and their entry this year. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice change of pace in the sound final. That especially that half really needs.
Yeah, it needs something, a little different.
There's a lot of bangers. There's a lot of upbeat female stuff going on, and then to have this like nice calm thing.
Do you think it's qualifier based on the first? Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think juries are going to respect it, and they're going to show a bit of support. And I think if you're an average viewer watching, and pop girlies aren't really your scene, and you like a bit of a band, you're going to probably go for Belgium and Ukraine and throw them a few votes.
Yeah.
So that's how I would see it.
Yeah, I think going into it, a lot of people had it as a non-qualifier, but I definitely had it certain qualifier. But I just think
now you're gone the other way.
Yeah, I think not so much a non-qualifier, but I definitely think it is a borderline qualifier now at the moment. Okay. I just think juries were gonna love this regardless going into this rehearsal. I think juries will love this song and appreciate it. Televoters maybe might go the opposite way of what you said, and maybe they might forget it in terms of Croatia and Israel kind of having it sandwiched in between the two of them. But yeah, look, I'm dying to see on Wednesday now what they add, or they could completely just keep it the same. But I think a lot of these rehearsals as well, I think it's so hard because you only have 2 times to see it. So it is hard to kind of like digest it all and keep it there. So I think, look, this is just first impressions, but yeah, I do think Belgium is in my bottom 3 for me. But what's your next country or your final country in your bottom 3?
So again, I really
have you came up with one? Have you struggled? Are you still struggling?
Well,
to find...
no. Slovenia was like, that spot was what was troubling me. I knew there was 2 from today who I wanted more from, I suppose you could say. So Romania being one and Israel being the other. Again, similar to how I felt with Romania, there's good points in Israel's performance. There's a lot of small things that they either need to take out, just do away with, or fix. So there's quite a lot to dissect, and I probably won't think of everything at the time, but Miko and Sandra and I had a really long chat after, and Miko, his favorite song this year is actually Set Me Free, so he was quite disappointed, to be honest, with the performance. And first off, similarly to Roxanne, Eden was very nervous. Very, very nervous. In the first run through that we saw, now they actually got 4 run throughs today, which I was glad to see. Yeah. Because the more run throughs that you get, the more you have to work with and tweak, and the more different ways you can try out things. So that was good. So the press got to see 3, of course, not seeing the first. So the first run through that we did see, she was nervous towards the end, and she was hitting one of her big notes. She didn't really hit it, and straight after she hit the note, she had to lean to her side, and she had this jacket on that the dancers were pulling off, and she didn't really hit the note, and then the jacket didn't come off properly. So she kind of let out this kind of sigh of frustration. She kind of because just 2 things in succession hadn't worked. And my heart just went out to her. I went, Eden, it's okay. It's your first rehearsal. You know, don't beat yourself up about it. And she kind of, I think she found it hard then to get into her groove with the rehearsing. I mean, the vocals definitely were improving gradually as the rehearsals went on. She actually didn't really have much trouble at all with her whistle notes. It was more just her longer notes towards the end of the song. She just was struggling a little bit. Definitely, you could just hear a bit of stress in her voice, a bit of nerves. There was a bit too much going on the stage, and I think that was throwing her because they move. So she has 5 dancers. So firstly, I don't know why she has 5 dancers, because they kind of swallow her up. There are points where they move like a beehive together, and there are points where her dancers are actually blocking her and you can't see her. Also, they're all wearing matching outfits, so you can't actually see her that well sometimes. And height-wise, she's a little bit shorter than her dancers, so she kind of gets mixed up into them, and you're going, where's Eden? I can't see her. I can hear her, but I can't see her. And there's, then there's the whole jacket reveal, which I don't know if they need to do that. And then also at the end, they do kind of, there's a headpiece, but it's made of hair. I don't know if that's the right term for it. And one of the dancers just plops it on her head for the last 2 seconds. And then, so for her final shot, set me free, arms in the air. And she's got the headpiece on her head. And I was thinking, that's an awful lot of trouble you're going to, just to stick something on her head for like 1.5 seconds. And it looks really messy because each time, I don't know, was it the camera work, but you could just see the dancer plopping it on her head. And it just didn't look. So there was just a lot
too
of
much going on.
Too much going on. And I just think it was stressing poor Eden out. I think the girl just wants to go on and sing and let the dancers do all the annoying things. And it's just a shame they didn't have 4 dancers, because it would be much nicer, be much more symmetrical. There could be 2 on each side and they'd never be blocking her, and they could make more of a triangular whereas with the 5 it's quite awkward. They're just constantly around her and covering her, and there's a lot going on.
I'm in agreement. Israel, one of my bottom 3. Just too much going on. And it's the song itself, there's the revamp especially, there's too much going on in my opinion. So the staging is kind of ironic, like there's a lot going on the stage as well. But yeah, just like you said, the kind of the jacket reveal, it's just not needed. Exactly like you said with the dancers behind her, she doesn't need to be in the middle of them. And I understand that they're kind of bouncing off each other, and it's not necessary. I think the only good thing about it is the fact that for the second rehearsal, it's not so much what they have to add, it's more so what they need to take away. And I think that's the main thing about this, is there's way too much going on for her. And as you said, she did seem quite nervous. So rightly so, that there's so many elements you have to get right with this. And yeah, just so many unnecessary bits of the performance that just don't need to be there. Just don't need to be there. And in order for her to hit the high notes, she needs to be doing less. Simple as. There's too much for her to focus on. That kind of takes her away from actually just focusing on singing the song. So it's a song that I think a lot of people have as a borderline qualifier. And I do think that at the moment it still is a borderline. I don't think this has pushed it into a non-qualifier position or a solidified performance that would get her through. So which is good in a way, I guess. I guess that's a positive. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Wednesday to seeing what they will change. And yeah, Israel for me, bottom 3.
Fair enough.
The ESC Conor Podcast.
We're coming to the end of the podcast. Is there any other final thoughts that you would like to give on the first rehearsals from semi-final 1 across the last 2 days?
I'm looking at the list of countries here, and it's just a very strong semi-final. There's going to be a few broken hearts, and there's nothing we can do about that. And you know what? As awful as it is to look at this list and to know that we're going to lose 6, when really I can make a case for all of them qualifying, to be honest. That's just the way it is. And I mean, isn't it a great sign for the contest itself that we're having entries of such high quality and that they are getting this good year on year? I mean, if we thought semi-final 1 2018 was strong, this
It's on
semi-final,
another level.
It's on another level, exactly. So it's great to see. It's really also difficult to see as an Irish fan who really wants Ireland to qualify. But look, we're proud of it either way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to definitely a change of pace in semi-final 2, which is going to be very strange.
Interesting
tomorrow.
way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
Semi-final
interesting.
2 is a bit more sleepy.
Yeah, definitely. And we have that
Some
to look
good ones
forward
in
to
there.
over the next 2 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Louise, thank you so much for joining me on my first episode. It was great to chat to you. Where can people find you if they are looking for you on social media or on YouTube?
Well, thank you very much for having me on. It was my pleasure. You can find some of my work on Eurovision Hub on YouTube, and my handle on Twitter and Instagram is Irlande Lupois. If you've ever heard of
I wonder what that's reference to. I have no
iconic
idea.
Irish Eurovision entry from some moons ago. There may have been a turkey puppet involved. Just search Irlande and yeah,
It'll come up.
you'll find me and Dustin.
Yeah, thanks so much, Louise, for joining me. This is the end of the first episode of the ESC Conor podcast. If you would like to find me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at ESC_Conor, and then on Twitter, it's at ESC Conor. And don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube as well, ESC Conor, and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening and take care. See you now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the ESC Conor podcast. Subscribe now so you don't miss any future episodes. Also, follow ESC Conor on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube. Join us next time for more reaction and analysis on the Eurovision Song Contest 2021.